at-bats for your favorite players and in outs.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you've got a game that brings you so much joy and satisfaction.
Yes.
And I think that was the word for me last night. That was one of the most satisfying experiences watching a sporting event, at least a non-playoff sporting event that I can remember in my life. The outcome, the drama, everything you wanted to kind of happen during that game happened for the San Diego Padres the way you wanted it to happen.
I couldn't even, again, I couldn't sleep. I mean, after that win last night, I just could not sleep. I was so fired up. Let's run through just a quick series of events, because here's the thing, Benny. I want to make sure we've got our ducks in a row, okay? So you let me know if I'm forgetting anything. I need like some music, Paulie, in the background. Anything. I don't care. Just some music in the background, royalty-free. I'd like to run through everything that's transpired in this series. So the Washington Nationals come to town. They're a half game back of the San Diego Padres in the wild card race. So you're looking at this going, all right, we need to handle business. Pretty hard-fought game, Monday night. Hard-fought game, certainly. Nationals really, really come through. C.J. Abrams, a huge night. Pretty fired up, playing against his old team that traded him for Juan Soto, who's no longer on the San Diego Padres. C.J. Abrams is grinning, looking into the dugout every time he does something. Nick Senzel comes up in the 10th. Was it Senzel? Hits a 3-run home run, 2-run home run. They go up 3 runs in the 10th inning. T.J. Abrams climbs over the railing of the dugout. He's cheering. He's beating his chest. All the guys are fired up. Oh, my God, this is unbelievable. We're going to win this game for sure. Nationals closer Hunter Harvey comes in, blows the game wide open. Jackson Merrill, huge knock. Drives in 2. Donovan Solano puts one off the wall. Like, Padres are absolutely rolling. Then Jurickson Profar comes up with the bases loaded. Works an incredible AB. Fouls pitches off. 97 up around the chin. Hits the deck. Flat on his back. Wakes up. Dusts himself off. Walks it off. Is fired up. After being, they walked in Luis Ariz intentionally to get to him. He's fired up. He's beating his chest. He's at his home ballpark. They just scored 4 runs in the 10th inning to beat the Nationals. The Nationals take exception to him celebrating on his home ballpark on his home field after a walk-off. Jesse Winker, left fielder, goes into the stands to scream at a fan who's 66 years old. So far, so good. Yes?
Yes. So far, so good.
So far, so good. They fill their diapers talking about this celebration. They fill their diapers. Their announcers fill their diapers. Their media fills their diapers. Today is a National Chocolate Pudding Day. And there is chocolate pudding running down the legs of every person attached to the Washington Nationals. They talked all yesterday about how they took exception to it. So then, last night's game starts. Jurickson Profar comes up in the first inning, and negative WAR player, catcher, Keibert Ruiz decides, I have enough time in the bigs that I get to now tell a 10-year veteran, Jurickson Profar, how he's supposed to act in his home ballpark after getting dusted and hitting a walk-off single to win the game, coming back from a 3-run deficit. I, minus 0.4 WAR player, get in the face and put my hands on Jurickson Profar, leading vote getter in the National League. I get to put my hands on him and tell him how mad I am. Manny Machado comes up, grabs Keibert Ruiz, pulls him away. Next thing you know, the umpires come out. They warn everybody, hey, we're not doing this tonight.
Bench is clear.
Bullpen's clear.
clear.
Then, MacKenzie Gore, first pitch, 98 miles an hour to the shin.
Warnings issued.
Have been issued. 98 miles an hour to the feet, the shin of Jurickson Profar. And somebody said last night, a shin is just as valuable as a head, a back, a leg. 100%. So you got you got them celebrating. One of their players going into the stands. Their catcher putting his hands on our player. Then their pitcher hitting our player. And we're the problem? We're the problem. You guys are the ones that have taken exception. I think this is completely misguided. And it pissed me off that MacKenzie Gore was not immediately thrown out of that game. What better place to throw at somebody if you didn't want people to think it was intentional?
Oh, but Woods, he threw his arms up and was clearly upset.
Yeah, you know who else does that? My 6-year-old. When I catch him doing something he shouldn't do. I don't know. I didn't do it. Give me an effing break, man. Give me a break. Why are they so sensitive about how we choose to celebrate in our own ballpark? Right? Again, like Jurickson Profar beating his chest. Yeah, walk me again. That's been going on in baseball for 100 years. 100 years. Keibert Ruiz is a 0. He's a 0. You don't get to put your hands on Jurickson Profar. You're a 0, man. You're the worst catcher in the league. Literally. You don't get to put your hands on him and tell him how to play the game of baseball. Is there anybody on that roster that would have the right to tell Jurickson Profar, hey, bro, we didn't like that last night. We're not going to hit you. Jurickson said, go ahead and hit me. I don't care. Go ahead. I thought he handled himself beautifully last night. And I thought Manny Machado handled himself beautifully last night. And let everybody know.
It's my MF and captain.
That's my
right
captain,
there.
too. Let everybody know. Don't come in here with your version of the rules in our house, right? It was absolutely absurd. And the umpiring crew should be embarrassed. I've never seen that. Ben, have you ever seen warnings issued and then a first pitch at a guy and nobody gets run except our manager? And these are the guys that still are taking exception to it?
It makes no sense.
No sense.
If you were a Washington Nationals fan and didn't think that MacKenzie Gore threw it Jurickson Profar intentionally, even if you're MacKenzie Gore and you didn't throw at him intentionally,
you still got to go.
You probably have to go in that scenario.
It's just one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
It's not only that you can't intentionally throw at someone. You got to make sure you don't let one get away in that situation inside. You just can't. You cannot throw one that gets away inside on the next pitch, or you are ejected.
You're out.
I can't. MacKenzie Gore wouldn't have said one word. If he had gotten thrown out of the game, he would have just nodded and walked to the dugout knowing, yeah, I deserve it.
Son of a bitch, I can't believe I let that one get away.
I deserve it. We just cleared the benches. We just had warnings issued to both sides, and the very next pitch, I throw 98.
Again.
And it hits the guy who's at the center of all of this.
You go up and in. Our guy walks it off on you and is fired up in his home ballpark in front of 39,000 people, which I promise you have not seen in Washington all year. You haven't seen 39,000 in your ballpark all year. You're pissed off that you gave up, that you had a 3-run lead and you blew it. You're pissed off. I understand that. Be mad at Hunter Harvey. Be mad at all the guys on your team. Don't be mad at the guys for celebrating a huge win. Again, you went into the stands against one of our fans, right? You jumped out of your dugout. You hit our player. Why the F are you so upset?
If the umpires, and I gave this a lot of thought yesterday, if the umpires truly wanted to say something that we weren't sure it was intentional or we didn't think it was intentional, after you eject him, after the game, you talk to the league office and go, I don't think a suspension is warranted. We're not 100% sure he threw it. And that's fine.
100%.
That's absolutely fine. You can say, you know what? We had to throw you out, but we're not recommending a suspension or any further discipline after that game. It's been taken care of. Punishment issued, ejection from the game. It's now over. There's not, normally though in that situation, you don't not only get ejected, but there's probably a suspension involved for the pitcher as well in a case like that. And maybe that wasn't warranted. I can see the argument.
No one cares.
Where no suspension would be warranted there.
I could not care less if he gets suspended or not. I walk in to my living room and I say, if you do this again, you're going to timeout. And my kid does exactly what I just told him not to do. And then I go, just joking. You're kidding me. That umpire, by the way, what is he? He looked like he's 17 years old. He's got no business making those calls there. None whatsoever. And again, You're going to issue warnings after some, verbal stuff. I didn't agree with any of it. And then you're going to run Schilt, and not Davey Martinez. Give me a break. Guys, you have to take into account, too, who's on the mound, right? MacKenzie Gore is a red ass. Good for him. He threw at Jurickson Profar. Whether it was intentional or not, it still hit him with 98 miles an hour, which is exactly what you just told him he can't do. You just said you can't do it. Don't do this. Do it. That's fine. You're joking. There's no way that makes any sense. None. And I know, I think even Schilt said, I don't necessarily think it was intentional. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You cannot do this. Does it? Maybe you can.
Bro,
I guess you can.
You've seen guys get tossed after warnings are issued several batters later.
Correct.
Innings
later. Yes.
That's why
Paulie,
issues are warned. Warnings are issued.
You've seen guys get run for up and in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, basically take away the inside part of the plate.
Correct. And I don't think...
And for it to happen on the first pitch.
The first pitch. First pitch.
Profar didn't jump out of the way and it was close. It effing hit him.
Well, and it was 98 miles an hour, dude. And again, a shin is just as valuable as a butt, a back, a hip, an arm, a head, whatever. I thought that was egregious. I think
how high up would it have had to have been?
Correct.
For the I mean, if it had been the knee, is that an ejection? Thigh, ejection, butt, and is that high enough that all of a sudden now we're definitely getting thrown out of the game?
I cannot believe what I saw. I really can't. And Mike Schilt, he was really nice, for his one last week where he's like, hey, you got to do what you got to do. I respect you. I thought he was great in this one. I thought he did exactly what he needed. I actually thought I would have gone a little bit harder. You would have seen stuff flying out of the dugout because, again, don't do this, does it? It's fine. It makes no sense. No sense. So I think the Nationals are ridiculous. I understand getting your feelings hurt because you got your ass kicked and you blew a 3-run lead. I understand that. That's not a good feeling. But Keibert Ruiz does not get to take exception to what Jurickson Profar does in his own ballpark. He didn't disrespect your house. It's his house. He's having a monster year. And you knocked him on his ass, and he came through, and he was fired up. First baseball game, guys? Is that just your first game? We got first-timers? You guys know what you're doing. You know guys are going to be fired up after that. You need to put your head down and walk away. You do not need to go into the stands and go after fans. You do not need to go to the media crying about how much exception you're taking. Take your L, blame your pitcher, and move on, period. I thought the whole thing was handled terribly. I think they are in the wrong on all of this. We haven't hit anybody. We haven't started anything. We haven't put our hands on anybody first. Give me a break with all of your panties being in a bunch.